Hello and welcome to what appears to be another chapter on the Skill Experience series. Today we're going to be discussing about the Polyforest and Sausans, the normal Sausans areas, and see how these two spots compare to the other ones in terms of mainly skill experience. If I sound somewhat different today, it's because I'm still sick, so just disregard that and try not to pay too much attention on it, even though I brought it up. Anyway, let's start with Polyforest and move on from there. As always, if you are interested in the test details, I would advise you to see the first chapter and move on from there, so I don't have to repeat myself again. Polyforest. On this place, again, I'm going to start with the screenshots so you can see them right away. Here I did 3 tests, the first one of 15 minutes, the second one of 30 minutes on a night time, and the third one of 20 minutes. I must say, when this place was recommended to me, I didn't exactly consider it to be a very good contestant to being the best spot, but after testing it, I must admit that the values were way higher than I actually expected them to be. Making an average out of these 3 runs and of course getting the values to per hour and to match the experience rates from the previous tests, I would get about 2 skill points level up and 15% experience per hour, so that's pretty much the best I've got so far. About 6,700 trash items per hour and about 1.285% normal experience per hour. This is pretty much, I would say, decent experience, but what we are mainly interested in is the skill experience, which so far is the best I've got in all of the chapters that I covered before this one. Besides the experience values for this area, I would also like to mention that it's not exactly very populated, so you're going to have a very easy time to find a grinding spot here. The rotation that I did is the one that you see on the background playing at the moment, which has a lot of monsters and I can pretty much kill them in 2 or 3 Will of the Wind skills. And while I'm on that subject, I would also like to point out that for this particular test, I did have 2 extraction gems in my bow instead of 1. This is not exactly going to make me clear them faster, but I did grind this place with little to no MP potions at all. If I would use the MP potions, it was only to make sure that I don't run out of MP to influence the test in any way. Besides that, the trash items you can make about 7 millions per hour just from those, and the other items you can easily make about 10 to 12 millions per hour, if not even more. Of course I didn't test it, but to give my final thoughts before moving to Sausans, I pretty much have to say I like this place, because compared to Sausans, which we will get into later, here you actually can grind 1 full hour without having to drop your items into the horse or repair or anything like that, because the trash items are very lightweight, so you actually are capable of consistently grinding 1 full hour. I'm mentioning this because the Sausans values are very close to the Mushrooms one, the Polyforest, and on Sausans you actually cannot grind 1 full hour without dropping your items or having to sell the armor pieces. Now, one last mention, if you look at the first test, the 15 minutes one, that one is actually quite noticeably slower than the other 2, but I still included that one on the average experience per hour, because none of these 3 rounds was interrupted in any way, so it was just simply my fault for grinding slower. Actually wait, there is one more thing I should be talking about, and this is actually going to be the last one. So here at Polyforest, as well as the other Kamasilve spots, you can get the Narc scroll pieces. And I did do the Narc scroll to see the experience rate on that one, and it's pretty much not worth talking about. You get, I believe, about 0.1% normal experience and not even 2% skill experience per each Narc scroll, and even though it only takes 2 minutes or so to kill the boss, it takes a lot of time to get there in the first place. So I believe it's not worth including the Narc scroll experience rate into the overall average Polyforest experience rate. but if you care about the values, they are on the screen, and yeah, I believe now this is about it. Now, with all of that being said, I believe I didn't forget anything about this place. If I did, whatever. So let's move on into the Sausans part. I think this is the first chapter where I didn't take the tests in order, because I actually tested Sausans before the mushrooms area. Here at Sausans, again, I did 3 runs. You can see the screenshots now. The first one was 14 minutes, the second one 15.5 minutes, and the third one only 16 minutes. As you can see, they are pretty short. The longest one was 16 minutes, and I would have to mention that on the first test, the 14 minutes one, I actually did get interrupted by, I believe, some witch or whatever class that was just simply killing some of my groups. So as a result, I didn't have as many monsters, and the numbers, which are probably already on the screen, can display that the first run was noticeably slower than the other ones. And in this case, for the Sausans test, I will exclude the first run, just because I did get interrupted by other people. So making an average of only the second and third run, for Sausans I got about 5.4 thousand trash items per hour, if you can grind 1 hour without taking any breaks, which is pretty much impossible. 2 skill points to level up and 20% experience, skill experience I mean. So kind of a little bit higher than the polyforest one, but we will talk about that in a second. And 1.3% normal experience per hour. Again, just slightly better than the polyforest one, but here at Sausans, as I mentioned, you can't really grind 1 hour without taking any breaks, because the trash items are way too heavy, and you get, besides the trash items which can't be overstacked properly, a lot of armor pieces as well. So in my case, after 16 minutes I have to drop my items on the horse, which means taking at least 4 breaks per hour. Now, to add on top of this, even though the experience here seems to be somewhat higher, the third run on Sausans, as you can see, it was 2 skill points level up and 23% experience, the fastest one, and the fastest run at Polyforest was 2 skill points level up and 22%. So pretty much the fastest runs from both of these spots have the exact same, or pretty much the same experience values. So I would say that if you take off the fluctuations in grinding speed, Sausans and Polyforest are pretty much identical, but I would consider Polyforest to be the better choice, because for one, you can grind it without being contested at all. On Sausans you have to grind the main rotation, and you have to be able to clear the entire main rotation, I mean before the mobs respawn, while on Polyforest you pretty much have the spot for yourself, and you have a lot of monsters. You can grind even faster than I did and still be able to clear the entire rotation without the monsters being respawned. So let's not make the video too long, you pretty much get the point. These are the values for this chapter. So my conclusion at the moment, comparing the other spots tested before these, I would say Polyforest is definitely the winner, even though Sausans seems to have higher values on paper. I still believe the mushrooms area is better. So these two areas from today's Sausans and Polyforest are currently the best grinding spots for skill experience, and I will see you guys in the next chapter with Pielaku Jail and Crescent Shrine. And I think I will also redo one test at Vadus, just to ensure that my second extraction gem didn't influence my clearing speed in any way, because I don't want to basically have the new tests being faster than the other ones for no reason. So thanks for watching, I hope this was helpful. I will see you guys next time, and yeah, have a good day, or the rest of your day.